Hello folks, welcome to my YouTube channel, Watercolor Impressions. This week we are going to learn how to do fall landscape in gouache. This reference was taken near Algonquin Park and they have beautiful hiking trails. I highly recommend going and checking it out. Before you go, hit the subscribe button so you guys can get weekly video updates from our channel. And let's get started, guys. As comes to drawing, I'll start with the major shape in our reference. So that's a figure. So I want the figure to be as a lead-in to our painting. And you can see I'm also changing this composition a little bit because I want this to have this C curve or S curve which is going in distance. So then I'm going to place the trees. For the trees I'm going to place it in such a way that in a zigzag pattern, so that kind of also give us like a little bit of depth and perspective in our painting as well. And as far as comes to drawing, I really try to keep it simple. I don't try to complicate things because I will solve a lot of my problems while I paint. So there's sky which is peeking through the trees, so I'm just like putting some bluish color in my gouache. So I'm going to be using gouache for this tutorial, so it doesn't matter what kind of gouache you use because gouache gives this a vibrant color, so that's why I really like about it, and I thought it is really good for this kind of painting you do. So the other thing about gouache is there is no rules for it, so you can start with a light wash or you can start with a darkest wash, or you can start with a light value or you can start with a darker value. So but like I'm going to use gouache as watercolors because as far as I have really heavy on painting on a lot of watercolors, so I usually use gouache as medium which I can start from light wash so that I can rearrange my values. So this is all background, so I'm going to be introducing a lot of colors mixing in, and you can see I'm also trying to give some expressive strokes in my brush pattern. So this thing, you know, as a painter and as an artist, so it differs from each artist, so I wouldn't recommend, you know, using the same brush stroke, or you can come up with your own brush stroke as well. And I also don't like painting trees because this is out of my comfort zone. I'll fairly admit that, because I don't like dabbing on any kind of painting I do, because I want to do it a quick and confident way. And sometimes as an artist you have to go and explore your subjects which are uncomfortable to you, because that grows you as an artist and that helps you to learn different stuff from other subjects as well. So that's why I do practice different kind of paintings like that. So I thought I would, you know, give that gift to you so you can also practice as well. And you can see there is nothing, you know, secret about this painting. It's just like layering up. Any kind of painting you do, even in gouache or in watercolors or oil, everything is layering. And so I finished my first wash, so it dries, and the gouache also dries super fast, and I'm also adding some little bit of midtones and distance. And I'm trying to blend in some of the colors in the background because I want to create this hazy which goes in distance. I would have kept this umbrella as white, but I made it a little bit black because I want to create some contrast, because the tree is going to be really vibrant. What I mean by that, it's going to be white paper. You could see it gives a little bit of contrast in our painting. So I'll join that umbrella with the midground as well, so there's a little bit of framing for the umbrella as well. So I also add another figure which is go in the midground, and there's also going to be another figure in the background. So it's kind of like a perspective from foreground, midground and background. So now I'm fairly focusing on the background. You can see I'm wearing the colors. So the colors I've been using for this painting are bright yellow, bright orange, and when I went for the midtones, I'm using a little bit of burnt amber or burnt sienna mixing with orange or yellow in it. And there's also a lot of greens in it. So for in my palette I'm using lemon yellow, and there's also sap green. So I'm just mixing those colors to do it. So you can see the midground I'm using a lot of burnt sienna with a little bit of burnt amber in it. I'm also putting a little bit of orange in it, because so that unifies the painting with a lot of warmer colors in our painting. And in this painting, if you see, there's a lot of warmer colors. There's only few cooler colors, which is on the sky. And I also cooled a little bit of the umbrella so that it kind of like acts a complement between warm and cooler colors. And you can see in the reference there's a lot of things happening, there's a lot of noise, and we have to simplify in such a way that we can paint it, because a lot of beginners or a lot of sometimes when I pick a subject, there is a lot of noise in a subject, so we have to minimize in such a way that into its basic shapes and deconstruct and make it simplify and do it. You can see quite fast we finished this painting. We are almost at the end of the painting. As soon as we add the shadows and frame the trees, and the whole light will come alive in our painting. So every painting you do, the one essential thing you can't make any mistake of is light and shadows. If you take care of the light and shadows on the major shapes, and the whole painting will come alive. And the values also really important, the values which creates depth and distance. So let's add some shadows, the tree leaf shadows, which is on the left hand side, and there's going to be a lot of dabbing happening on this tree leaves, because there's no other way we can break this out. If you make your brush stroke bigger, it loses the scale of it. I know like some of the artists like make the brush strokes and make it into a single shape, but I personally like breaking my leaves in such a way that it has different scale and values, because that shows scale of the tree. Whatever painting you do, scale is really important in any essential of the painting, because it shows how big the painting is. So that's why whenever I do, I almost add a lot of characters in my painting to just show the scale in our painting. And you can see as soon as we add this foreground tree with the shadows as a gradient from dark to a lighter gradient at the top, that gives the illusion of really nice light peeking through in our trees. And this is our major tree. I'll be focusing on a lot of details on this tree and the rest of the painting. And I'm also painting this tree first, because this is on left hand side, so I start from left to right. I'm a right hander, so I paint from left to right. And you can see as soon as we add that tree shadows and light, and everything came alive in this painting. And let's focus on the tree on the right hand side now. It's the same thing, add some shadows at the bottom, add a little bit darker at the bottom. As it goes up, leave the white bits in the paper. And I'm also making sure not to have the values a little bit darker than the foreground, because as I said, value creates illusion of depth and distance, and things which goes in distance have lighter value, things which are closer to us have a darker value. And sometimes I also over exaggerate my foreground just to create depth in our painting. And you can see as it goes in distance to the trees, I kept it really the details to minimal, and that also helps us to create perspective. And when you see this painting from far, that helps to give illusion of details as well. So now I'm focusing on the shadow on the right hand side, and as soon as we add the shadows on the right hand side, you can see there is three things happening now: foreground, midground, and the background. So as I said, I'm exaggerating the foreground tree so that it comes in the front, and I went to the midground tree as well. So this two trees is really important. So now our character is really weak, so we have to make our character to pop in the front, and we also have to add a little bit of light and shadows for her too, so that she pops out more. And you can see as soon as I add a little bit of darker value, she came all the way in the front near the light and shadows. And I'm also giving some shadows for the umbrella too. I think if you try it, I would leave the umbrella white, and you can test it out, because that will create a lot of contrast, and that will create a little bit of beautiful impression for that character. So my shadows also went light a bit, so I'm just going to darken this a little bit. And now it's matter of fact, just take some white paint. This is really difficult to do, leaving white bits while you paint, and it's okay to use white paint. And I'm using a blade to bring some of the highlights as well. So this works really good with gouache, and it doesn't, even though it damages the paper a little bit, but it gives this crispy, highlights for our painting. So I'm just taking white paint and bringing up some of the eyelets. So whenever I put eyelets, I squint my eyes, I'll just see where exactly, you know, some of the eyelid pops, and that's where I put my eyelets. So since I have a lot of white paint in my brush, so I'm just going to splatter around, so that gives a little bit of sparkles in our painting as well. The main important thing while painting all of this is to have fun. That's really important in any kind of painting you do, or else you lose the inspiration and your painting will show what it is. So now I'm going to bring some of the lighter values, because I covered a lot of my trees with darker values. So I'm just trying to bring in some of the eyelets back in my painting. So for this, I'm mixing, for the oranges, I'm mixing orange and a little bit of white paint in it, just to have a little bit of a mid-tone value. And I also lost a lot of green in my painting as well. So I brought in a little bit of whiter bits and introducing a little bit of darker tone, and that's it, folks. We are done with this painting, and this is how the painting looks once it's done, and I think it looks magical. And now it's your turn. Take my drawing template and reference, and let's see what you can come up with. Thanks again for watching this fall landscape in gouache video tutorial with me. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section. And if you want me to cover any of the subjects in watercolors or gouache, write me at watercolorimpressions@gmail.com or comment below. And before you go, hit the subscribe button so you guys can get weekly video updates from our channel. And please do share with your friends and family. And good luck with your painting, folks.